Over the years, I have watched a lot of anime. Now, whether if that's a good thing or just plain sad is left to be said. But what I can say is that over the years, I have developed these things called taste and preference. Now, most of the anime I've watched I have enjoyed and they've entertained me, but there have been a handful that I found to be, well, just plain awful. This is a list of anime that I really didn't like. Now, if there's a series on here that you happen to like, please don't take it personally. You just have bad taste. Now, without further ado, here are my top 10 worst anime. Want to hear the shortest review ever? Handshakers is a show that looks very pretty, but when the fighting starts, it's like someone used every visual effect at their disposal and made visual puke in anime form. And everything else took the backseat and is very shallow, and the plot doesn't really get resolved. Oh boy, what can be said of Kaveri Tattoo? I don't want to say it was a complete train wreck, because there were some decent moments, but that alone can't save it from its blistering fast plot and shallow characters. Also, some of the scenes were just very jarring and confusing. I'm only speaking for the anime since I haven't really read the manga. Maybe I'll read it sometime. Rule 101 of making a hit anime: just have a cast of all girls and have them do anything. Be in a band, go to Antarctica, or just have them do absolutely nothing. Simple, right? So how about wrestling? Think of all the fan service shots that could be done. Well, Wanna Be the Strongest is just plain fan service. I don't really complain about fan service, but good God, does it take center stage in this show. The story is pretty basic. It boils down to the MC Sakura taking a break from being an idol to be a pro wrestler. Not much depth there. For God's sakes, Keijo was better than this, and it had so much more fan service. But I felt like Keijo was better because of its tone. It was so ridiculous, so over the top, we didn't take it too seriously. And I mean, come on, it was straight up premium entertainment. And the characters were actually interesting for the most part. And Wanna Be the Strongest has a lackluster story with uninteresting characters where fan service just completely overshadows everything. Chaos Dragon is a mess. I mean, the idea behind it is interesting, but it was executed very poorly. Our MC, Ibuki, has a power granted to him by the Red Dragon, who is the guardian of his country. But there's a catch. In order to use his power, he needs to kill someone who he is close to. So throughout the series, we get to see how Ibuki handles this constant struggle while trying to save his country from being taken over. Sounds interesting, right? Well, it's gonna disappoint you. The whole killing someone in order to use his power loses its impact by the 4th episode. Your reaction to it goes from, oh my god, who's he gonna kill next? To, oh my god, who's he gonna kill next? It also leaves many questions unanswered, which I guess is to be expected because this is based off of a game. So the anime was made to promote the game, so if you want to know the full story, you better play the game! Some of you might think this is a cop-out, but I feel like Dragon Ball GT deserves to be on here. Don't get me wrong, there were some cool things that came out of GT. I liked the Shadow Dragon arc, and Super Saiyan 4 was pretty cool. And also, more Gogeta is always good. The main problem with GT, besides not having Akira Toriyama on board, is that it had decent ideas, but they were executed poorly. The greatest example is Baby. He has a good backstory, but the final product was just... Don't even get me started on Super 17. Just saying Super 17 leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, gross.
Well, at least one good thing came from GT.
I shaved my mustache, you idiot!
7 Mortal Sins. Remember when I was saying Wanna Be the Strongest was all fan service? Well, this show kicks it up a couple notches. The plot is pretty basic. Lucifer gets banished from heaven and she wants to become the head of the 7 mortal sins and take down God. I love stories that have heaven versus hell stuff, but this is just pure fan service. Again, I don't really complain about fan service, but good lord, the plot is almost non-existent here. I really can't say much more about this show because, well, there really isn't much to talk about. I'm a pretty big fan of the Dot Hack series. In fact, the first manga I ever read was Dot Hack Legend of the Twilight. I brought it for my friend at the time, and I loved it. So years later, when I found out there was an anime of it, I was kind of excited to watch it. Boy, was I naive. Now, the manga isn't a masterpiece. I gave it like a 7, 7.5 out of 10. But this anime is just terrible. They took a solid story and changed it and pummeled it into oblivion. I could break down the series into 2 words.
Lena.
The main conflict in this show is that Rena gets kidnapped and Shugo and company have to save her. And guess who the main antagonist is? It's a group of kids that can skillfully hack the game and control AI and do other crazy shit. Yeah, no, that's retarded. And I don't believe it for a second. Jesus Christ, this is the best I could think of. Lost Village, or as I like to call it, Discount Higurashi, is about a group of people who want to run away from their lives and start over in Hanaki Village. Some of the characters have good reasons for leaving, and some of them are being complete babies. But when they get to the village, surprise! It's not what they think it is. Wow! Imagine that! There are 2 things that make this anime terrible. The first is that it tries way too hard to be serious. This series is supposed to be suspenseful and mysterious, but they try way too hard to build that up, and it ends up being borderline comedical at times. Oh, this village is abandoned. That's pretty creepy. Oh wow, someone's dead. How did that happen? Now there's a giant penguin thing. Okay. Second reason is that I feel half the cast is unnecessary. We really only get depth on a handful of characters, and the others are just there. And there was times where I even forgot about some of the characters. Not to mention some of the characters are just dumb and have retarded reasons for running away. I'm talking about you, Yura, you douchebag. King's Game is about a class of high schoolers who suddenly get forced to play a death game against their will. It's kind of like Saw, but not nearly as good. Like Lost Village, this falls under the it's too serious at times it becomes funny. Not to mention most of the characters have no depth, and some of them follow the trope of they need to act dumb because the plot calls for it. The best example of this is when Nobuaki, the MC, tells everyone about the game, and everyone turns on him. Then Natsuko, a kind girl, suddenly turns borderline psycho, and pretty much almost rapes a fellow classmate because of an order. Everyone's like, oh my god, what's going on with her? Then Nobuaki talks to her in private. She screams and tells everyone who try to take advantage of her, so like idiots that have the attention span of a squirrel and forgot about her little psycho episode about 5 minutes ago, believe her. Then she tells everyone that they should kill Nobuaki, and again, everyone's like, oh my god, why is she acting so weird? Seriously, it's really hard to care about characters when they're caught up in a death game, when they're complete dumbasses with no redeemable qualities. He's dead, don't care. Now she's dead, I still don't care. I mean, I like some edgy stuff, but this is all edge with no substance. Now, I actually liked this series before, but after watching it a few times, my opinion of it has changed. I guess you could say I finally see the light. Sword Art Online is just god-awful. Looking back, I'm a little ashamed that I actually liked it. It has terrible, bland characters with a super cliche, poorly written story that should have ended after they got out of SAO. And finally, I'm just kidding. I don't hate SAO. School Days is terrible. If you've seen my School Days review, you already know how I feel about it, so I'll try not to drone on and sound like a broken record. To me, there's nothing redeeming about this show. The story is all about the edge life with its crazy ass finale. All the characters are just walking cardboard, and not to mention the MC is one of the biggest dickbags in anime history. Now, like I said before, I like edgy stuff, but just like King's Game, this has no substance. It starts off like a typical rom-com, but when it suddenly takes a hard left turn on Edgelord Street, I was left confused and asked myself, but why though? The only reason why anyone would watch this show is for its batshit crazy ending, which will live in anime infamy forever. I can say for a fact that I found at least a little bit of entertainment value with the rest of the series on this list. But I was not entertained at all with School Days. It's by far the worst anime I have watched, and I have a feeling it will hold that title for a very long time, if not forever. Hey everyone, I hope you liked my video. Let me know some of the anime series you guys didn't like down in the comments section. If you did like this video, please subscribe to my channel, like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter. I'm TKashikoi, and I'll see you guys next time.